In this tutorial, I'll show you how to replace your bouncing circle with an image of a cookie. So I've done a Google image search for cookie. This one looks fine, so I'm going to right-click and say Copy Image, or you could save the file and open it. Now I'm going to go to paint.net, and I will paste my image and expand the canvas. So if you want this to look good, you've got to do a couple of things. First, you have to crop the image. That means change its dimensions so that the part that you want displayed is the only part in your image. You can do that like this. You can say, well, let's do a selection first. So I'll hit the selection tool and then try and select just the cookie. Now under image, you can say crop to selection. And so you see now the whole image is only the part that I'm interested in displaying. The second thing you want to do is probably make a transparent background. So the way you're going to do that is we're going to select everything that is not the cookie and then cut it away. An easy way to do that is with the magic wand tool right here. So if I click in this border region, it's going to try and make a selection whose contours follow colors. So it looks at the color of the background. Clearly I've got a little bit of the cookie there, so if we adjust the tolerance, you see that a lower tolerance is not going to intrude upon the cookie and a higher tolerance will. So let's do a lower tolerance. That looks pretty good, but the problem is we're not getting over here. So if you hold the Control key, hold Control and click, you can add to your selection region. So I'm just going to add incrementally until I get what I like. That looks pretty good. And then if you just hit the Delete key, now I've got a transparent background. So let's save this. I'm going to say Save As. I'm going to save it inside my Pictures temp folder, and a PNG is a great format to use if you've got a transparent background. So I'm going to call this Cookie, and I'll save it. Like we did before, let's create a PImage for this picture. So I'm going to create the variable. Then inside Setup, I'm going to say Load Image. Oh, I didn't actually move cookie over. Okay, well, we'll do that in a second. So cookie.png. And if I were to run it right now, it would fail because there is no cookie.png inside my project. So let's go to my Pictures temp folder. Here's cookie. I'm going to drag it across to Graphics Template 2. And then I'm going to say, yes, I want to copy it. And so now you can actually see cookie.png in the project. So now it should load properly. And now what I want to do is, instead of drawing the ellipse, I want to draw the cookie. So I'm going to comment out the ellipse line. I know image is the command for drawing an image. Cookie is the image I want to draw. But instead of drawing it at some fixed XY location, I want to use my XY variables, which describes where my ellipse used to be drawn and now is describing where my image will be drawn. So this is not going to be perfect yet, but let's just look at it. Okay, so that cookie is gigantic, which is awesome. But we probably want it smaller. Let's resize the cookie. So I'll say cookie.resize. And then I have this radius variable up here, so I'm going to resize it to 2 times the radius for the width and 2 times the radius for the height. This is complaining because my radius is a float variable, but it needs to be an int variable. So maybe the easiest thing to do is just to make it an int up here. If you wanted to, you could cast to int by saying int and then having that part be in parentheses. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. Okay, this looks pretty good, but you might notice that for the left and the top of the screen, the cookie is bouncing perfectly off its edges, but for the bottom and right of the screen, it's going all the way off the screen before it bounces. The reason why is because the XY location where we're displaying is actually the upper left-hand corner of the cookie image. But that's the same XY coordinate we're using to detect if we've hit the screen. So before, when it was a circle, we were checking if the center of the circle was hitting the edge of the screen. Now we're only seeing if the top left corner of the cookie is hitting the screen, and that's when it bounces. So in your handout, there's a way, I show you a way to fix this. I think the easiest thing to do is if we want xy to represent the center of our object, then when we display the object, let's not say display it at xy, which would display it with the upper left-hand corner at xy. Instead, let's say display it at xy, but shifted left and shifted up. And if we shift it by the right amounts, then if we display with the left-hand corner up here, the xy coordinates will actually correctly describe the center of the object again. So the amount we have to shift it is by whatever half the width of your image is and half the height of your image. So if my image is the actual variable name for your image, you can do this, because myImage.width is a built-in variable for how many pixels wide is your image. For us, we have the radius variable, so we could also use that. So let's see what that looks like. Here for image, I'm going to say not xy, but x shifted left by the radius, and y shifted up by the radius. So now it looks the way that we originally wanted it to look, where it's the center that's bouncing. And if you want to fix it further from here, you can do that. But instead of changing x, y, you just change the boundaries where you're bouncing off the edge of the screen. Come back next time to see how you can change the image based on some event happening, such as clicking.